John Rogers is a candidate for Houston County Chairman with his formal announcement coming this afternoon. The Republican businessman promises to protect taxpayers with solid government, putting results first in politics. Rogers claims he has strong ties to all people in Houston County, those who live in the inner city and those who live in those rural areas. Above all, Rogers believes people should have a choice when they go to the polls.
I've always looked at the ballots whenever I've grabbed one, and I've seen so many ballots where candidates were unopposed. And I feel like we would have a healthier community with having ballots with an incumbent that's actually opposed. I think it's just healthier for the citizens to have that opportunity to have another viable option to vote for another candidate.
Rogers opposes incumbent County Chairman Brandon Shoup in May's Republican primary. The race until now has not had Democratic opposition.